We were teaching her gratitude. That's what my parents said after starving my daughter for 4 days while I was away on a work trip to teach me a lesson. I took them to court. Now they lost their reputation, money, and community respect forever. Hey, Reddit! My parents always had a golden child, and it wasn't me. I thought that drama was behind us until they straight up starved my daughter while we were out of town. Before I get into what happened, let me start from the beginning. Name's Griffin Hale. My wife is Serena. Our daughter Lyra is 7. Small kid, sharp eyes, hair that sticks up every morning no matter what you do. My parents are Victor and Evelyn Marwick. My sister's Celeste. Her boy Asher is 9. My parents have always loved Celeste's kid like he hung the moon. Lyra, they're polite. That's about it. This trip wasn't a beach thing or anniversary getaway. Serena had a 2-day design workshop across the state. Same week, I had a 2-day certification exam in the same city. Flights there and back meant 4 days total. We had a one-way rental booked in case we needed to drive back. Months ago, my parents told us, anytime you need help with Lyra, just ask. 3 weeks before the trip, they repeated it. We said yes. I set conditions. I texted a full sheet with Lyra's routine and food list. Breakfast she actually eats, snacks, lunches, dinners. I labeled every container we dropped off. I left a case of her juice boxes and a shelf bin with her name on it in their pantry. I even set up the shared Ring login for their porch cam, the one I installed last year with their consent after some package thefts. They use it all the time. No one complained when I said, if you have her, I like to know the door alerts work. Everyone agreed. 2 days before we left, Mom said, Asher eats everything I put in front of him. Never picky. I told her, Lyra eats fine if you give her options. Dad laughed and said, maybe she needs the clean plate club like we had. I said, we don't do that. He shrugged like it was a joke. We dropped Lyra off the night before the flight. She had her frog-shaped backpack and a stack of library books. Mom hugged her and said, maybe we'll make a good eater out of you. I told them her food was labeled in the fridge. Easy stuff. Nothing to argue about. Victor waved me off with, she'll be fine. Day 1 went normal. I texted around lunch. Mom replied, she's fine. That was it. No photo, no call back later. I called that evening. No answer. Next morning I tried Dad. Voicemail. I texted, please confirm she ate breakfast. Nothing for 2 hours. Finally Mom wrote, she'll eat when she's hungry. Serena read it over my shoulder. What does that mean? She asked. I said I didn't know yet. I opened the Ring app. The event log showed door opens the day before, mid-afternoon, Lyra outside with chalk. Nothing odd by itself, but there were a lot of pings close together. Door open, door close, door open again. I saved the log. I texted, call us after lunch. No call came. At 3 p.m., my phone buzzed with a voicemail. Harold Whitaker, the neighbor across the street, retired school teacher, the kind who keeps an eye on things but minds his business. He said, hey Griffin, hope the trip's going good. Saw Lyra outside quite a bit yesterday. Quiet, kid. Just figured you were back soon. All right, take care. Not panicked. Just a neighbor noticing. I called Celeste. Asked if she'd heard from our parents. She said Mom texted her a picture of Asher holding up an empty plate with the caption, such a good eater. She forwarded it. In the thread from the day before, Mom had written, Asher eats what's served. Lyra picks. Structure will help. Same tone I grew up with. Celeste got gold stars. I got lectures. Now my kid was getting them. I sent another message. Call us in 20 minutes. No reply. I called Dad again. Straight to voicemail. Serena looked at me. We're leaving tonight, aren't we? I nodded. Yeah? Something's off. We packed fast. Serena told her workshop coordinator she had a family issue. I paid the fee to reschedule my exam for next month. We tossed everything in the rental car and got on the road before dark. Halfway home, I checked the Ring log again. More door opens. No faces in frame, just the timestamps. I tried calling one more time. No answer. Serena said, if it was fine, they'd send a photo. That's what my parents do when they babysit. I didn't answer. I started writing a grocery list on my phone. Applesauce, crackers, bananas, yogurt. Stuff easy to eat if she hadn't had much. 2 hours out, a text from Mom popped up. We will talk tomorrow. She needs to learn to eat what's served. Asher never argues. I typed back, we're home in the morning. No fight, no big speech, just facts. The drive to my parents' place was quiet except for the turn signal and the wipers. It had rained sometime in the night. Roads were wet, shiny under the streetlights. The last few minutes felt longer than they should have. I kept checking the Ring log on my phone. The app showed motion clips from the last 2 days. Lyra on the porch steps with chalk, barefoot, hair sticking up. Timestamps mid-afternoon, yesterday, and the day before. Nothing showing inside the house, just the porch where the camera faces. I scrolled through them twice. She was out there longer than usual. That line about she'll eat when she's hungry didn't leave my head. It was the same tone I knew growing up. When Celeste and I were kids, she was the one with the trophies lined up on the shelf. Piano recitals, spelling bees, science fairs. Mom bragged about her at church, at the grocery store, to strangers in line at the bank. Our Celeste, always followed by some achievement. Me? I was the kid with decent grades, hand-me-down bike, second-place ribbons. No one yelled at me, but no one bragged either. I learned early to keep my head down. Family dinners back then always had some version of the same scene. Celeste cleared her plate. Mom beamed like it was newsworthy. See, Griffin, that's how a young lady eats. No complaints. I remember being 10, staring at cold peas I didn't want, stomach full of meatloaf, listening to the lecture about waste and gratitude, Celeste smirking over her empty plate like she'd won something. Asher, her kid, inherited the crown. Mom posts him on Facebook holding soccer medals, science fair ribbons, birthday cakes. Every caption has "so proud" in it. When we visit, Asher gets root beer floats and second helpings. Lyra gets comments about being shy or picky or quiet. I didn't think they'd cross lines with her. Not until Harold's voicemail and those texts about structure. Serena drove while I kept trying my parents' numbers. Still voicemail. I texted Celeste again. Any chance you've heard from them? She replied 2 minutes later. Mom sent me something yesterday about Asher eating all his dinner while Lyra sat there staring at hers. Thought she was just being mom. Why? I called her. Celeste, she texted you pictures? One of Asher with his empty plate, she said. None of Lyra. Forward everything, I said. She did. There were 5 messages from Mom across the last 2 days. Thursday, 7:42 p.m. Asher cleaned his plate. Lyra barely touched hers. Maybe Griffin will see structure works. Friday, 12:15 p.m. Asher loves my cooking. Lyra is stubborn like her father. She'll learn. Reading them felt like being 12 again, sitting at that table, listening to the same comparisons. Celeste, I said, did you call her when you got these? No, she admitted. I thought she was just venting. I didn't think anything was actually wrong. Serena glanced over from the driver's seat. She'd been listening. Ask her if Asher was there the whole time, she said. I asked. Yes, Celeste said. Dropped him off Tuesday. Picked him up yesterday afternoon. Why? So Asher was eating meals there. My kid wasn't. I told Celeste we were heading over now. She went quiet a second. Send me a text when you get her. Please. I said I would and hung up. Serena switched lanes, eyes on the road. So your mom fed Asher, not Lyra? Same house, same food? Looks like it, I said. The rain had stopped, but the streets still shined. We passed the dark windows of the diner on Maple Street, the gas station with its buzzing sign. I called my buddy Mark, patrol officer in our town. Gave him the short version. 4 days away, weird texts, no answers on the phone, neighbors saying Lyra looked quiet outside. He said, go knock. If they don't let you in or you think she needs help, call non-emergency. Don't force entry yourself. Keep it clean. That was the plan. At a rest stop 20 miles out, we switched drivers. Serena used the bathroom, grabbed coffees. I hit the small grocery store next door and bought applesauce cups, bananas, peanut butter crackers, yogurt pouches. Easy calories in case Lyra hadn't been eating much. Back on the road, Serena scrolled through Celeste's screenshots on my phone. She sent these to Celeste like trophies, she said. Like starving a kid proves something. She thinks it's discipline, I said. It's not. I know. The clock on the dash said 5:42 a.m. when we passed the high school. 15 more minutes to their neighborhood. Houses here all look the same. Brick fronts, trimmed hedges, porch lights on timers. My parents' place sat at the far end of the cul-de-sac. Big oak in the front yard. Same swing Celeste and I used as kids still hanging there. As we turned onto their street, my phone buzzed again. Another motion alert from the ring cam. Door opening, then closing. Timestamp, 5:57 a.m. Serena slowed as we approached. No lights on inside. Curtains drawn. Their car in the driveway. I checked the grocery bags at my feet. Applesauce cups clinking together. Juice boxes wedged between bananas. Serena pulled to the curb across from the house. Killed the headlights. We sat there a moment, both looking at the front door. I opened the door, cold air rushing in. Let's go, I said. We crossed the street together. Porch light flicked on automatically. I pressed the bell. Inside, footsteps moved. A shadow crossed the hallway. The deadbolt clicked. The porch light buzzed overhead when the door opened. Mom stood there in her robe like we were delivering mail at the wrong house. No smile. No, good morning. Just, what's this about? Like we hadn't been calling for 2 days. We need to see Lyra, I said. Now. She's fine, Mom said, holding the door halfway. Kids get stubborn about food sometimes. I didn't argue. I waved Serena up the steps, pushed the door the rest of the way open, and walked in. If Mom wanted to complain later, fine. I wasn't waiting on speeches. The house smelled like coffee and something stale. Living room curtains shut, TV off, dishes in the sink. The plate on the counter stopped me. Cold eggs stuck to it like glue. A piece of dry toast curled at the edges. No crumbs missing. I checked the fridge. A few labeled containers I'd dropped off still untouched. Where is she? I asked. Mom crossed her arms. On the couch. She's been pouting all weekend. Lyra lay there under a throw blanket, eyes half open, skin pale, hair stuck to her forehead. She saw me and tried to sit up but didn't get far. Daddy, she whispered. I'm sorry I didn't finish. Serena crouched next to her. Hey, baby. You feeling sick? Lyra nodded once. When did she eat last? I asked. Mom shrugged like it wasn't a quiz worth answering. We told her finish breakfast first. She kept refusing. I looked at Serena. She was already reaching for her phone. We're taking her in, I said. She's fine, Mom repeated. She's going to the hospital, I said. Move. Dad came in from the hallway just then, pulling on his jacket like he'd been getting ready for church. What's the fuss? He asked. She hasn't eaten since when? I asked him directly. She'll eat when she's hungry, he said. Asher never gave us this trouble. That was it. I grabbed Lyra's shoes from the mat, slid them on her feet, picked her up, and walked out. Serena followed with the blanket. No yelling, no debate. Outside, the air felt colder than it should have. I buckled Lyra into the back seat. Serena climbed in beside her with the grocery bag, and we headed for St. Mary's. The ER was quiet for once. A nurse brought us back fast after hearing 7 years old, barely eating, weak, pale. They checked her vitals, blood sugar, weight. Dr. Kessler came in 10 minutes later. Short woman with gray streaks in her hair. No nonsense tone. She's dehydrated and her glucose is low, she said after a quick exam. When was her last real meal? Tuesday night, I said. Before we left town. That's 4 days, she said flatly. From Tuesday night to Saturday morning, she added. It's been almost 4 full days. Serena handed over the unopened snacks from the bag. We brought these. She hasn't had anything. Dr. Kessler nodded. We'll start fluids now, do labs, and get her some soft food once she tolerates water. They put in a small IV. Lyra didn't fight it. Just watched the nurse tape it in place like she didn't care anymore. That hit worse than crying would have. A social worker showed up next, clipboard under her arm. I'm Monique Tran, she said. Hospital called me because of the food restriction concern. I need a timeline. I gave her one. 4 days away, parents insisted they'd watch her. We came back early after weird texts, found her like this. I kept it short, plain facts. She wrote everything down. Do you have those texts? She asked. Yes, I said. Forwarded from my sister. I can send them to you. Please do, she said. An hour later, labs came back. Low glucose, mild ketones, slight weight drop compared to her last pediatric visit. Not organ failure territory yet, but not nothing either. She needs rest, fluids, and food on her terms for now, Dr. Kessler said. We'll keep her overnight to be safe. Lyra drank half a juice box slowly, then nibbled on a banana slice Serena held. No one told her finish it. While she ate, I called Dad. He picked up on the second ring. She's in the hospital, I said. For what? Skipping a few meals? She hasn't eaten since Tuesday, I said. Doctor says dehydration, low blood sugar. They're keeping her overnight. Dad made a noise like this was theater. She was being dramatic. Kids eat when they're hungry. Not this time, I said. We'll talk later. I hung up. Serena sat by the bed, reading to Lyra from one of her library books. Lyra leaned against her shoulder, eyes half closed, IV humming beside her. Monique came back with forms. We'll open a file, she said. Hospital notes, your statement, texts from your sister, any photos you have of the food she was offered versus what was eaten. I took pictures of the plate on the counter, I said. Fridge too. Labeled food still there. Send those to me, she said. We'll review everything. Right now, focus on your daughter. I nodded. Later that afternoon, Dr. Kessler stopped by again. She's stable, she said. If labs look good tomorrow and she eats normally, she can go home. Lyra finished the rest of the banana. then half a yogurt cup. No one pushed her for more. I stepped out to the hall to call Celeste. Told her Lyra was admitted, stable now. She sent me another text last night, Celeste said, about Asher finishing everything. Like she was proud of starving Lyra. Send it too, I said. I forwarded the whole chain to Monique's number. Back in the room, Serena was helping Lyra sip water. The color was coming back to her face already. I pulled the blanket up higher around her shoulders. We build the record, I told Serena quietly. She nodded. Everything. No more arguing with my parents. The next morning, I drove back to my parents' house to get Lyra's things and collect proof. Before leaving the hospital, I called the non-emergency line and explained I wanted an officer there while I gathered belongings. No arguments, no drama, just clean paperwork. They sent one to meet me at the address. When I pulled up, the curtains were open now. Dad was on the porch, arms crossed. The officer walked up with me and said, "He's here to get his daughter's property." That right? Yes, I said. Dad didn't say anything. He moved aside when the officer told him to let me in. Inside smelled like old coffee and toast. I started in the kitchen, phone camera open. The plate from yesterday was still there with the same cold eggs, now hard as rubber. I snapped photos with timestamps. Opened the fridge. The labeled containers I left before the trip were untouched. Expiration dates visible. More photos. On the counter sat a notepad with "Finish breakfast, arrow lunch" written in Mom's handwriting. Snapped that too. The officer watched, silent, making notes in his little book. Trash can next. 2 bags inside, both tied. I asked Dad if I could open them. He shrugged. Inside were fast food wrappers dated the last 2 days, receipts stapled to bags. Every receipt said Asher in the order notes. Nothing with Lyra's name. I put the wrappers in a spare grocery sack and tied it shut. Officer nodded. No searching drawers or phones. Only things in plain view or handed to me. Everything else stayed untouched. I found Lyra's backpack by the couch, still full of the library books we packed. Her toothbrush in the bathroom cup. Clothes folded on the guest bed. I grabbed it all. Took photos of the room before moving anything so no one could claim damage later. While I packed, Mom walked in from the backyard like nothing happened. She ate when she wanted, she said to the air. I didn't answer. The officer didn't either. He just wrote something in his notebook. Outside by the car, I handed him the bag of fast food trash. Chain of custody, I said. He nodded. I'll log it and add it to the evidence inventory. You can request the evidence report. Back at the hospital, Serena was sitting with Lyra while she colored on the tray table. IV still running, half-empty juice box next to her hand. She ate the rest of the yogurt, Serena said quietly. Dr. Kessler came in with the morning labs. Glucose is climbing, electrolytes stable. She should be okay to discharge tomorrow if she keeps this up. I nodded and handed Monique, the social worker, my phone with the photos. Kitchen, fridge, food left untouched, receipts for fast food given to the other kid. She scrolled through slowly. This is good documentation, she said. Clear, time-stamped, and you didn't cross any lines to get it. Texts from my sister too, I said. She gave me her card with the secure email address. Send everything here. I forwarded the chain Celeste had given me. Lines about Asher finishing meals, Lyra refusing, structure, consequences, all of it. Monique read a few out loud. Asher 8 seconds. Lyra just sat there. Maybe Griffin will get it now. The rest hit the same note. Asher praised, Lyra punished. She looked at me. Your sister will confirm these came from your mother? Yes, I said. Good, she said. We keep everything straight. I called Celeste on speaker so Monique could hear her confirm. Celeste said yes. She received them directly, saved the originals, and would cooperate fully. After we hung up, Monique said CPS would file an initial report today. Medical neglect through food withholding, she explained. Photos, texts, witness statements, medical records. Together, they show a pattern. Serena sat by Lyra, listening. Lyra was eating crackers slowly, while watching cartoons on the small hospital TV. I told Monique about Harold, the neighbor who saw Lyra outside alone looking pale. Can you get a statement? She asked. I'll ask him, I said. She wrote his name down. I called Harold from the hallway. He sounded worried. Yesterday afternoon, she walked toward the apple tree, reached up like she might grab a branch, then sort of folded down onto the grass, he said. I thought maybe she was just tired, but she sat there a long time. I asked if he'd put that in a statement. He said yes. By late afternoon, I'd emailed everything. Photos, texts, receipts list, Harold's voicemail audio. Celeste sent her originals directly too. Dr. Kessler printed the medical summary. Vitals on arrival, lab results, weight compared to last pediatric visit, diagnosis codes for dehydration and hypoglycemia. The hospital notifies CPS in cases like this, she said. The DA may review depending on the findings. While paperwork moved, Serena read to Lyra again. She was sitting up more now, color back in her cheeks. IV almost done. She waved at the nurse when they walked by. I stepped into the hallway to call the civil attorney Mark had recommended, Trent Calder. He answered on the second ring. I gave him the short version. 4 days away. Parents withheld food, medical records, texts, photos, CPS involved. He said, don't post anything online. Don't talk to them directly beyond logistics. Document everything. When she's discharged, we'll meet and go over civil options. Medical bills, therapy, anything long-term, I said. Exactly, he said. Back in the room, Monique handed me a temporary no-contact form. Given the medical findings and risk, all communication with your parents should be by text only for now. No visits until cleared. I signed it. Serena looked relieved. Lyra finished her crackers and reached for another juice box. Serena opened it for her. Tomorrow she can probably go home, Dr. Kessler said again. But follow up with her pediatrician in 2 days. Monique packed her folders. We'll review everything this week. Someone from CPS will contact you for a formal interview. Keep your phone on. I nodded. As evening settled, I sat by Lyra's bed making a list on my phone. Pediatrician appointment, lawyer meeting, CPS interview, neighbor statement. Every step clear. Dated, written down. No more guessing games. This time, everything would be on record. The next morning, Dr. Kessler came in early. She checked Lyra's chart, looked over the new labs, and said, if she keeps eating and drinking today, she can go home later today. Lyra was awake, finishing half a piece of toast Serena brought from the cafeteria. No four now, just water at her side. While she ate, Monique from CPS came back. She carried a folder thick with printouts. I reviewed the texts, photos, receipts, and medical notes, she said. This meets criteria for medical neglect through intentional food withholding. We'll be coordinating with the DA's office for possible charges. Serena asked, what happens next? 2 tracks, Monique said. Criminal through the DA, civil if you want damages covered. Our priority is child safety. For now, no contact order stands. I nodded. Understood. Monique handed me her card again. A detective from the DA's office may call you today or tomorrow. They'll want your statement. Keep collecting anything new. And I told her about Harold, the neighbor, agreeing to give a statement about seeing Lyra outside alone looking pale. Monique wrote his name down again for the record. By noon, the DA's office called. A prosecutor named Danica Rhodes introduced herself, calm and direct. We've reviewed the initial CPS report, she said. We'd like the full chain of texts and your photos. We'll also be speaking to hospital staff. Once we verify everything, we'll decide on charges. I told her Celeste could confirm the text came from Mom directly. Danica said they'd contact her. 2 hours later, Lyra was discharged with instructions. Follow-up pediatrician visit in 2 days. Therapy referral for eating anxiety. Fluids at home. I carried her to the car. She was quiet but holding Serena's hand. A juice box clutched in the other. We drove straight home and settled her on the couch. That evening, I called Mom and Dad. Mom answered, voice sharp. Finally decided to talk? Lyra was in the hospital, I said. Dehydration, low blood sugar, 4 days without proper food. She had food, Mom snapped. She refused to eat it. You fed Asher and withheld from her, I said. I have photos, receipts, and your texts bragging about it. You're twisting things, Dad said in the background. Kids need discipline. I kept my voice even. You didn't discipline. You neglected. That's why CPS and the DA are involved. Silence for a beat. Then Dad said, so you're turning on your own parents. You starved my kid because I wasn't your favorite, I said. You made it about me, not her. Mom said, you're exaggerating. Tell that to the lab results, I said. Then I hung up. I didn't call again. The next day, Reverend Elias Brooks from their church called me. I heard something happened, he said carefully. I told him the short version. Hospitalization, CPS case, no contact order. He sighed. Your father leads 2 youth programs here. That won't continue while this is active. Your call, I said. He said, we protect kids first. By afternoon, the church board emailed me that Dad was suspended from all volunteer duties pending the investigation. The garden club followed 2 days later. One of their officers called Serena directly. Evelyn organizes children's planting events, she said. Given the circumstances, she's removed from the schedule. Serena just said, all right, and hung up. That week, Dr. Sienna Alvarez, the child therapist, saw Lyra for the first time. Small office, shelves of toys, calm voice. She asked simple questions while Lyra colored at the table. What foods she liked, if she felt safe eating at home, what made her nervous. Afterward, Dr. Alvarez told us, give her control over choices. No pressure to finish plates. She needs to know food isn't conditional anymore. We followed it exactly. At home, I set up a small shelf in the pantry with granola bars, crackers, applesauce cups, labeled Lyra's Snacks. She could take them any time, no permission needed. The first night, she ate half a granola bar, put the rest back, and asked, is that okay? It's yours, I said. You eat what you want, when you want. She nodded like she didn't fully believe it yet. 2 days later, Danica from the DA's office called back. We've confirmed the texts, photos, and medical reports, she said. We're filing initial charges for child endangerment. Detectives will handle interviews next week. I asked if Celeste would need to give a statement. Yes, Danica said. She has the original texts. I told Celeste that evening. She agreed right away. I should have called you sooner, she said. You didn't starve her, I said. Mom tried calling twice that night. Both times went to voicemail. The no-contact order stayed in place. At school pickup the next day, Lyra's teacher asked if everything was all right. Serena handed her the pediatrician's note excusing the absence. No details given. That weekend, I saw Dad at the grocery store parking lot. He started walking over. I said, don't. Court dates first, then talk. He stopped, turned back to his car without a word. On the following Monday, CPS emailed me the official case number. Attached were scanned copies of the hospital records, photos I'd submitted, and confirmation that interviews were scheduled. Serena taped the pediatrician follow-up instructions to the fridge next to the therapy schedule. Lyra put 2 granola bars in her backpack before school, without asking anyone. That was the point. The next phase would be charges and courtrooms. But inside our house, rules were simple now. No one controlled her plate but her, and we'd keep it that way. 2 weeks after Lyra came home, I sat across from Prosecutor Danica Rhodes in a small interview room at the county office. Serena was next to me. Danica had a laptop open, the hospital reports stacked in front of her. We've reviewed everything, she said. Texts, photos, medical records, CPS notes, your sister's confirmation. We're charging both your parents with misdemeanor child endangerment. There's also a neglect enhancement because of the medical findings. She slid a paper across the table. This explains the charges and your rights as the reporting party. Please read and sign so we can move forward. I read it. Simple, clear. I signed. Serena did too. Detectives interviewed us after that. They asked for exact dates, times, every message we had. I handed over printed copies of everything. Harold, the neighbor, gave his statement the same day. He described seeing Lyra outside alone multiple times, looking pale, moving slowly. Celeste sat for her interview later that week. She confirmed Mom sent the texts directly to her. She gave them her phone so they could download the originals. She didn't hesitate. 2 weeks after charges were filed, my parents were served with summons. No arrests, but mandatory court dates. The no-contact order with Lyra stayed in place. The first hearing was brief. The judge read the charges, set conditions. No unsupervised contact with minors, no interfering with witnesses, stay away from our house and Lyra's school. My parents said nothing in the courtroom. Their lawyer asked for a continuance. The judge granted it. Meanwhile, I met with Trent Calder, the civil attorney. He reviewed the medical bills, therapy estimates, and my missed work hours. We'll file for full reimbursement plus damages, he said. They documented their own behavior. This is straightforward. Serena handed him a folder with everything organized by date. Hospital first, pediatrician second, therapist third. Trent nodded. Good. The cleaner the record, the stronger the case. By the second court date, the DA had added another count based on medical expert testimony. Dr. Kessler stated in her report that 4 days without proper food or fluids at Lyra's age carried real medical risk. That pushed the case from discipline gone wrong into criminal neglect territory. Our parents' lawyer argued they were old-fashioned, believed children should clean their plates before dessert. Danica showed the text where they compared Lyra to Asher, called her stubborn, said consequences were needed. She showed the photos of the untouched meals I left in the fridge, and the receipts proving Asher ate takeout while Lyra got nothing new. The judge read silently for a long moment before saying, "This will proceed to trial." Outside the courthouse, reporters tried to ask questions. We said nothing. Celeste said nothing. Our parents walked past cameras with their lawyer blocking questions. At home, Lyra was getting stronger. Dr. Alvarez, her therapist, said the pantry shelf with her name on it was a good step. Lyra told her she liked knowing snacks were always there. She needs control over food after having it used as punishment, Dr. Alvarez said. Keep letting her decide when and what. We did. The trial started 6 weeks later. For a misdemeanor here, that's fast. The calendar moved quicker than we expected for our county. Small courtroom, maybe 30 seats. Serena and I sat behind Danica. Celeste came too, mostly for Asher's sake, she said. Danica opened with medical records, then texts, then photos. Each piece shown on the screen with dates and times. The jury saw Mom's line. Asher finished seconds. Lyra gets nothing until she learns. They saw the photos of the kitchen and fridge exhibits. They read Harold's statement about seeing her try to reach the apple tree before collapsing. Dr. Kessler testified about dehydration, low glucose, weight loss. She explained how children's bodies crash faster than adults. The defense repeated the discipline, not neglect line. They said my parents loved both grandchildren, but believed in tough love. Danica read the text where Mom wrote, "She's stubborn like Griffin. Maybe this will teach him too." It landed. By the end of the week, the verdict came back. Guilty on both counts, neglect and endangerment. Sentencing happened 2 weeks later. The judge ordered 1-year probation, mandatory parenting classes, 200 hours of community service not involving children, fines covering court costs, and an order prohibiting unsupervised contact unless modified by the court for Lyra. Outside court, reporters asked if we were satisfied. Serena said, "The goal was safety. That's what we got." The civil case moved faster. Trent filed for medical bills, therapy costs, my missed work, and damages. Our parents' lawyer tried to settle for a small amount. Trent refused. 3 months after filing, the judge awarded full medical reimbursement, full therapy costs, lost wages, and an additional amount for emotional distress. That pace was quick for a civil case in our county. Total judgment, just under $95,000. They had to take out a second mortgage on their house. Through it all, we kept the no-contact order. Mom sent one letter through her lawyer asking for supervised visits. We said no. The church removed Dad from all roles permanently after the conviction. The garden club banned Mom from events involving kids. At home, Lyra started eating normally again. She still kept a granola bar in her backpack just in case. But Dr. Alvarez said that would fade with time. Celeste told us she'd cut contact too. If they could do that to Lyra, she said, they could have done it to Asher if he wasn't the favorite. We believed it. By the end of the year, all court dates were done. Criminal, civil, everything. The verdicts didn't fix what happened, but they made sure it couldn't happen again. And that was the point. The following spring, about 6 months after the trial, life finally felt normal again. Lyra was back in school, healthy weight, steady appetite, and control over her own food. Saturday mornings were hers. Pancakes, cereal, or fruit, whatever she wanted. If she stopped halfway through, no one said a word. Dr. Alvarez still saw her twice a month. She said Lyra didn't blame herself anymore, understood it wasn't her fault. Keep giving her choices, she told us. Let her see food is always available. By spring, Lyra stopped asking to keep snacks in her room. She didn't need to anymore. The civil judgment paid off medical bills, therapy, and lost wages by summer. Our parents tried once through their lawyer to request supervised visits. We said no, filed the denial with the court. Celeste kept her distance too. I can't look at them the same, she told me. Asher was just lucky it wasn't him. Lyra and Asher saw each other once at a library program with Serena and me there the whole time. They laughed at books like regular kids. Nothing about court came up. At school, Serena wrote on the lunch form. She chooses what she eats. No punishments. The counselor nodded. That fall, Lyra joined a beginner jiu-jitsu class. Twice a week, small kids learning rolls and blocks. Her coach told me, she's quiet but strong. At home, Serena planted a garden box. Lyra watered it every evening, ate the first strawberry right on the steps. We saw Mom and Dad once at the grocery store in December. Serena held Lyra's shoulder, walked right past. No one followed. One night, Lyra asked, "Am I still your favorite?" "You're my only kid," I said. "And yeah, you're my favorite, even if you eat nothing at dinner." She smiled and went to sleep. By the 1-year mark, civil payments finished. Criminal probation for Mom and Dad stayed active, but we didn't track it. The church banned Dad from youth programs permanently. The garden club removed Mom from anything involving kids. Both letters went into the case folder with court papers and hospital records. Dr. Alvarez said monthly therapy wasn't needed anymore. She talks about school, friends, the garden, she told us. The hospital weekend barely comes up. That's good. The pantry shelf stayed full anyway. At her jiu-jitsu exhibition, Lyra bowed, did every move slow but steady, then looked straight at us. Serena clapped hard. On the way home, Lyra asked for ice cream. We stopped. No one told her to finish it. She didn't hoard snacks anymore. That's how I knew we got it right. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.